Europe's early heatwave continues to wreak havoc as temperatures creep to new highs and red alerts spread across the continent.
Germany's defense minister wants smaller ships for the German Navy rather than the planned world's largest frigate. Germany's entire railway network came to a halt due to a problem with the communications system, leaving thousands of passengers stranded. The four countries of Czechia, Poland, Slovakia and Hungary renewed their commitment as Hungarian Prime Minister Peter Magyar hosts its leaders.
Europe's early heatwave continues to wreak havoc as temperatures creep to new highs and red alerts spread across the continent. Tuesday was the hottest day ever in France, with the country's national thermal indicator reading 29.8 degrees Celsius. France has recorded 40 fatalities from drowning in the past week as people seek relief in rivers and other bodies of water, despite authorities' warnings about unsupervised swimming. In the UK, schools have been closed on Wednesday as a rare red weather warning comes into force. The country is bracing for record-breaking temperatures. Multiple UK train operators were forced to cancel or reduce services on Tuesday to avoid heat-related problems. Railway operators urge people to travel only if absolutely necessary on Wednesday and Thursday. Italy put 16 cities on red alert for heat waves on Wednesday, including Milan, Rome, Turin, Venice and Bologna. People have been advised to eat light foods and stay indoors during the hottest times of the day. A spike in households using air conditioning for cooling has sparkled blackouts in Milan and Turin. In Spain, the extreme heat is starting to abate, with National Weather Service saying temperatures would drop in most of the country. Parts of the Basque Country in the northern Spain remained on red alert, but this is expected to end by Thursday with no areas rated red or orange. It will come as a relief after temperatures reached 44 degrees Celsius southern Andalusia on Tuesday. High-level heat warnings have also been issued in western Poland, where record temperatures are anticipated, while Hungary will raise its heat alert to the highest level between Saturday and Tuesday. Further heatwave alerts have been issued in Croatia, Germany, Luxembourg, the Netherlands and Switzerland.
Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Kalibaf on Wednesday described the US-Iran framework deal as, quote, a declaration of US defeat. According to Kalibaf, Washington and Israel had miscalculated in launching the war. Speaking at the PUIC Parliamentary Summit in Baku, Kalibaf, who heads the Iranian negotiating team, said the Islamabad understanding was not the result of pressure and coercion, but rather the result of the resistance and authority of the brave Iranian nation. His remarks came as technical talks under the 60-day framework continued, with Iranian and US negotiators still divided over key outstanding issues, most acutely on the future of the Strait of Hormuz and nuclear inspections in Iran. In a social media post, US President Donald Trump said that Tehran had assured Washington there would be, quote, no tolls, no insurance costs, and no other charges of any kind for ships passing through the crucial waterway. Trump warned if the information proved false, negotiations would end immediately. He added that released Iranian funds would be spent exclusively on U.S. food exports, something that Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson, Ismail Baqai, has rejected. On Tuesday, the U.S. Congress passed the War Powers Measure for the first time, nearly 4 months after Iran was first struck. The move breaks with Trump and demands that the U.S. president holds the war in Iran or seek congressional approval before continuing military action.
The European Union has scaled back its ambitions for Ukraine's accession talks, now targeting the opening of just 2 negotiating clusters in July rather than 5. Ukraine opened 1 cluster earlier this month after a 2-year wait under Hungary's veto. The change of plans comes as the new government in Budapest signaled several times its opposition to speeding up Ukraine's membership bid. For Budapest, opening all 6 clusters in a condensed period is considered a fast-tracked accession. The characterization is rejected by a majority of member states, which see the clusters as just the beginning of an arduous, complex journey. The climb down marks a significant retreat for Brussels. The European Commission has consistently indicated that Ukraine was technically ready to negotiate the 6 thematic clusters, which altogether cover 33 chapters. Momentum behind enlargement surged following the Hungarian elections in April after Viktor Orbán's electoral defeat. The newly elected Prime Minister, Péter Magyar, offered an olive branch by lifting the country's long-standing veto on the first cluster in early June, but Magyar has since signalled that he is unwilling to support a faster pace of negotiations.
Junts per Catalunya increased the immense pressure on Pedro Sánchez on Wednesday, demanding that he resigns as Prime Minister and that Congress elect a new head of government to preserve the legislature. The sharp demand from the Catalan separatists came during a high-stakes debate over the legal cases affecting the president's inner circle, completely reshaping the political landscape. Sánchez appeared before a tense Congress of Deputies on Wednesday to make his defense against a wave of corruption allegations. The high-stakes appearance followed a landmark Supreme Court ruling that handed a 24-year prison sentence to his former transport minister, José Luis Ábalos. Sánchez opened his 32-minute address by acknowledging that the national public debate has been completely flooded with judicial news, though he rejected claims of structural wrongdoing.
Porque conviene saber que detrás de este cúmulo de titulares, de filtraciones, de especulaciones, hay 3 cuestiones distintas, 3 cuestiones de naturaleza y de escala diferentes, que, por cierto, determinados actores políticos y mediáticos están tratando de mezclar para equiparar y con ello confundir a la gente, crear una sensación de corrupción generalizada que, ya les digo, señorías, no existe.
Addressing the influence peddling cases involving his brother David and his wife Begona Gomez, who was recently ordered to face trial and surrender her passport, Sánchez claimed the judicial files are built entirely on unfounded accusations and a coordinated pattern of personal harassment. However, conservative opposition leader Alberto Núñez Feijóo framed the prime minister as the absolute epicenter of what he termed a corrupting political nexus. You bear all the political responsibility, Feijóo said, reminding that Sánchez initially rose to power in 2018 on an anti-corruption platform spearheaded by the now convicted Ábalos. The opposition leader declared he would table an immediate motion of no confidence.
And the authorization of the activity is one issue, and alleged misconduct is a different type of question.
The European Commission has stated that former Commissioner Dimitris Avramopoulos' approved NGO activities are a separate matter from the alleged misconduct, which is suspected to be a part of the ongoing Qatargate investigation. When asked whether the Commission's credibility is damaged, the spokesperson underlined that everything was done by the book.
At that time and at that moment, back in 2022, when we looked at the matter, we had no indication of any breach of the conditions that were included in the respective college decision.
In contrast to Commission's ethical and practical procedures, Avramopoulos' NGO activities are being investigated as part of a cash for influence corruption network. For that purpose, the Belgian Supreme Court Prosecutor's Office has just forwarded a European arrest warrant to the Greek Parliament, along with a formal request to lift Avramopoulos' immunity, as he is still a member of the ruling New Democracy Party. After his term as commissioner ended in 2019, Avramopoulos has become a member of the honorary board of Fight Impunity, an NGO founded by the suspected mastermind Antonio Panzeri to influence European Parliament decision-making, and received €75,000 in total. Avramopoulos categorically rejects any involvement in the case and states that he will not invoke parliamentary immunity, calling for a full judicial investigation. The former Migration Commissioner stated that all monthly payments were transparently declared, taxed, and formally approved by the European Commission.
Germany's defense minister Boris Pistorius now wants smaller ships for the German Navy rather than the planned world's largest frigate. Local media reported that more than €2 billion have already been sunk into the project. In place of 6 F-126 class frigates, which were scheduled for delivery in 2029, 8 smaller ships will now be ordered. The reason for the downsize are significant delays at the Dutch shipyard tasked with building them, as well as expected cost increases. The decision marks a significant setback for Europe's biggest economy, especially as Germany has been accelerating its efforts to build up its armed forces in an attempt to bolster its role in NATO and deter Russian aggression.
Iran has emerged in a stronger position from the war against the US and Israel, former US Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman told Euronews. The seasoned diplomat who led the team that negotiated the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran criticized the reported cost of the framework agreement linked to reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran has certainly put itself in a stronger position. They can close the Strait of Hormuz at any point that they want. They have shown that they are resilient, that a military effort alone cannot undo them.
US and Iran are in dispute over whether Tehran had agreed to allow these inspections of its nuclear sites. The head of the UN's nuclear agency said Wednesday that his inspectors would visit them.
If the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, gets back into Iran, even though Iran says that is not agreed, that would be a very positive thing, because you can't do anything in the negotiations or anything that you resolve without knowing that you can verify and monitor what the reality is. And we need the IAEA on the ground to be able to do that.
Sherman also warned that Iran could emerge with greater influence in Lebanon and across the region, complicating wider efforts to secure stability.